Welcome to the Planning Board meeting of August 13, 2024. These proceedings will be videotaped and rebroadcast by Area 58 TV. If we could stand and salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we have before us again the application of Derek Barley requesting a special permit pursuant to Section 5300 of the Carver zoning bylaw located at 278 Tremont Street in Carver, Mass. Assessors map 126-25-0R, lot number 1 in the residential agricultural zoning district to construct a duplex. If you would.
Good evening. My name is Steve Katowski. I work for Webby Engineering. I'm here tonight with the Varleys to go over the project. And I guess you guys had a site visit, and I first wanted to just ask if there were any questions or anything, comments. I know there were some things that were talked about at the site visit. I wasn't able to go, but I was told that there were some, some discussions and things like that. So.
That's true.
Do you want to start there first?
Several of us have questions. I believe we asked if you were to mark the corners of the buildings, and I think we ran into a problem. It was really kind of difficult to discern what was what out there.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
I don't know if you can go over it with us through the teleprompter there, but
sure,
it was confusing.
Yeah,
to say the least.
Yeah, there are a lot of points we were looking for. I know the buildings aren't exactly square, so sometimes that gets confusing. They're also kind of offset from one another. I did want to start off by mentioning, so after we had our last meeting with you folks here at the Planning Board, and with all the discussion and the concerns from all of the neighbors, we, as typical clients and engineers do, we wanted to discuss the, the thoughts that were from the board. And after, their consideration on all of the concerns that everybody had, and since we're on Lot 1 right now, they're contemplating withdrawing the application for the special permit for the duplex for Lot 1, and mostly because it is in a more residential area in conjunction with the other lots that are here. So they still want to move forward with lots 2, 3, and 4, but I think Lot 1, if that's a big concern for the planning board, and it seemed to be a big concern for the neighbors, they are prepared to, and it did seem like that's more the congested area. They are prepared to discuss withdrawing that particular lot for the special permit that we're asking for. So I know that's kind of thrown on your lap, but that's something that they've been talking about. We've kind of gone over it in the last few weeks, and so that's where we're at on Lot 1.
For myself, I'm going to ask the rest of the board members to chime in on what was said and what was observed out there. But my biggest thing was if it was being moved back 30 feet.
Yes.
So we'd be back 130 feet now. My concern was opening the entire thing up and clear cutting it, when maybe possibly it would have been nice to just cut what you needed to cut for a driveway back into there.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on that too, and I guess they were shared by Alan Diaz, who was, also representing our client, was that, it's been my experience here in Carver that a lot of the times when you open up these developments in these areas that have very mature pine trees, it opens it up for problems on abutters. I could, speak of a project that I'd worked on years ago that we had a lot of the same concerns. The neighbors had all come forward. They wanted to protect their buffers. They wanted to maintain some of the character that was on the particular abutting properties. And we went through a lot of care to do that. And then unfortunately what happened is that the trees ended up falling on the neighbors' garages, their vehicles, their RVs, crossing over the lot line. And even though the developer had tried to accommodate, at the end of the day, we ended up having to go in there, and they ended up having to go in there and cut down all the trees and then bring back trees to act as a buffer. So we've seen that on a lot of these properties in town. That was our concern. We just didn't want to, go in there and try to save a few trees and then end up having them, fall. It's not just Carver. I've done this in Pembroke too, where we had a nice, wooded lot that was just all, nice mature pine trees similar to what you guys have here. And as soon as you go in there and you open up those areas and you try to kind of, condense everything down and leave buffers and things like that. And I think some of the neighbors actually had mentioned this at the last meeting that we had, and I couldn't have agreed. But that was, the reason that we were trying to do that was to meet that balance, even though we really didn't want to leave those large pines that would have potentially had problems, not just, again, with the neighbors, but also my clients were concerned they're going to go spend a lot of money and go through a lot of trouble to build these new buildings, and then all of a sudden you're going to have pine trees falling on top of them. So that was a concern that they had. They just didn't want to have to, after, opening up that area, then having to, cross your fingers and hope that, that the winds weren't going to topple trees onto the property. So, again, knowing that that was a concern that everybody had and the size of the, what we were proposing there, they decided that on that particular lot, it may make sense because it is the more densely vegetated area. It's, again, closer towards more of the neighbors, that if they were to go with a single-family dwelling on that particular lot, they could probably try to maintain a better buffer and have some of the concerns. They probably won't have to push it back as far as they would with this particular site plan, because the parking can be a little bit more traditional instead of having the 2 parking spaces parked in front. Most of it would be just like a typical with a garage in front. You could, pull into the garage and use it. So those were some of the thoughts and things that we were talking about, when it came to the pine trees and things like that.
All right, well, I'm going to open it up to the rest of my board so that they can share their concerns. I'd like to start with Mr. Shea, if you have any.
Well, what are we doing? Are we continuing the hearing, or are they going to request the withdrawal of the application? I'm not sure where we're at this point.
Are you withdrawing?
We would like to ask the board to consider that only if it's going to help them with the other 2. We're not trying to hold a gun to your head or anything, but obviously, we're thinking that seemed to be where most of the neighbors' concerns were with this particular lot, and we don't want to, obviously set that in to say that we're not moving forward with the other 3 special permits. We still want to move forward with those. We're hoping that, again, sort of, that this could be looked at maybe favorably on the other 3, because, again, those do, they're on as closely connected to the neighboring side street, I think.
We take each lot on an individual basis. I couldn't say that this would. Each lot is judged on its positive and negative benefits, and I can't weigh this against other properties. It wouldn't be appropriate. It's got to be weighed on its own measure. So I'll tell you, it won't affect my decision on any of the properties, however you decide to go with this property.
Okay.
Mr. Dolo?
I think it's a great compromise, and I think that you're trying to keep the abutting neighbors, happy, and I think that might be, a good idea.
Mary Ellen?
I just want to make a comment, Steve, that when we were there on the site visit, it seemed like we had a different set of plans than Alan had. I don't know if it pertained to all the lots, but there was a lot of confusion. Even with this particular lot 1, our setback was different than what he had. So a concern that I would have is that we may not have the most accurate plans.
I'm not sure what Alan had other than the plans that I will say, and this was what Alan had mentioned to me, and I thought maybe I'd got my directions from the board, because I'd asked specifically, I said, do you want us to stake it out the way it's shown on the plan, or would you like me to push it back to 30 feet, which is what the board was looking to do?
Yeah.
And then on the other lots, it was kind of the same thing. There was a little bit of, can we move the house out of the riparian zone and that sort of thing. So I tried to make it as best of a presentation on the ground as I could to accommodate what what you folks were looking for. So
Yeah.
that's why I'll take a responsibility for where it was staked, because I was trying to, I was trying to make it as what you folks were looking at on the plan, understanding that you wanted to move some things back. So I know on this particular lot, I moved the building back 30 feet
30 feet.
when the guy staked it out, so that, that was what was mentioned here. I think it was Lot 3. There was a discussion that they were wanted to have the building pushed back a little bit further out of the riverfront area, so we did that too. And I know there was some questions as, well, is this in the right spot because of where the driveway was and things? We can talk about that a little bit
Right.
more. But what I'm saying is that when you were out on the ground, that's what I remember asking you folks, do you want me to stake it the way it is on the plan, or the way that, you would
Right.
ask us to move it? So that's why the plans may not have exactly matched up with what was on the ground.
No, I think he had a different plan than we had.
Okay.
So not just what was on the ground, but the actual plan itself.
He may have had the worksheet that we were working off of to do
Yeah.
the staking. That's probably what he took with him to,
Right,
because
right.
again, that was what we hadn't presented those plans because we were just asked to make those changes.
Okay.
So if whichever way we go with it, if you would like, we haven't done, the plans that he have, I think also didn't show much changing on the grading or anything. Again, it was our worksheet that our guys were working off of when they went out there to stake it, to try to,
Okay.
to try to meet what you folks were looking for.
Yeah. And as to going to a single-family residence versus the duplex on that particular street, I think that's a great idea, because I don't think that street could really handle 2 more residences.
Mhm.
That's a lot of strain for the neighbors, for the small one-way street that it is. So,
Mr. Gasky.
Well, by rule, I'm not going to be voting on this, but if I were, I would echo what Mr. Shea says and take each lot on its face value. So any decision that you make regarding this lot would have no effect on the decisions for the other lots. It's all on, excuse me, it's all in the design and the layout for each individual lot, and taking into account safety and everything else. So that's Bill.
And Mr. Cullen.
Yeah, John's right, as far as, it being one lot and that consideration. I think Mary Ellen's also right. I think we share, or at least I do, share a lot of the concerns the neighbors do, and I think that a single-family home is the better option in this particular area. And there'd be it'd be hard to assuage just some of my concerns with this plan. So I think you're on the right track.
So I think at this time, withdrawing the fact that you want to put a duplex there and going to a single-family dwelling, Mr. Planner, do they have to resubmit that?
No, I think if they want to withdraw their application, and they say, we'd like to withdraw their application, the vote would accept that. The board would vote to accept that request.
Okay,
And
but
I'll
then
write
they
it-
have to come back.
I'll write it up as, obviously, that doesn't affect 2, 3, and 4.
Exactly,
But-
with this, we're only dealing.
Yeah, they don't
with
have to
one.
come back for one. If they say, we'd like to withdraw it, the board votes to accept withdraw their application. I write it up as the application's withdrawn and lot 1's put to bed.
Okay,
And
but I want to make sure that Lot 1's put to bed, but we're not going to address tonight that Lot 1 will now be considered a single dwelling.
Well, because a single-family house doesn't come to the planning board.
Okay.
They're only here because it's a
We
duplex.
would need something in writing
Yeah.
from the
So-
applicant.
So they ask, we vote, I write it
Okay.
up. You can
Then-
follow up with a letter confirming the request to withdraw.
All right, then I'm going to ask for somebody to make a motion to accept their withdrawal of the,
We'd have to close the public hearing first, and
Didn't we already close the public
We have
hearing?
not closed the public, any
Oh.
public.
and
All right.
I don't know if there's anybody.
Well, I will open it up to the public if there is anything above and beyond what we've already discussed in the past. If there's anything new that you want to bring forward as concerns, we would like to hear that. Please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Jewett. My wife Laurie and I live across the street at 275 Tremont Street. We were out of town, unfortunately, for the last meeting, so we weren't able to attend. I know that lot, I'm very familiar with it, and we wanted the board to know, in the developers, that we don't have any particular concerns with the construction that's going on, or that's planned, the duplex, single family, or anything like that. We're here basically on a concern of safety. The driveways that are staked
I
off
don't
right
wanna cut 'em
now
off.
on the property come out at a threatening location onto Tremont Street, Route 58. Now, our driveway is,
Mr. Jewett?
Excuse me, we are discussing Lot 1, but when we come up to 2, 3, and 4, if you'd like to come back.
I'll come back.
We're only discussing Lot 1 at the
Oh, I'm
moment.
sorry.
It's on
No,
Seepage Street.
It's
That's-
confusing,
You
so,
can't see it
no, I
up
understand
there.
it's on CPIT, okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
But please come forward when we have the others.
Thank you.
All right. So,
We'd need official.
Mr. Benson?
Bruce Benson, 9 Sleeper Street. Quick question. So a single-family house would not come to planning board, correct?
Mr.
That's correct.
Mr.
Would there be
Planner.
any restrictions on the land clearing or any of the other concerns?
Only within the 200-foot outer riparian zone. They would
That's
have
it.
to go to the Conservation Commission.
Do you know
and
about lady slippers and
request
Indian pipes and all that? Is that stuff protected in a forest like that?
that. Which?
That would have to be a question for...
I know, it's-
There are certain types of lady slippers that are protected.
Well,
Many.
There are some there, that's all. That's just a vague thing. Anyways, so this is done. I guess there's nothing else we can say to that because it's not pertinent anymore, so.
Yep.
Thank you.
It would just be like anybody buying a piece of property
No, I
to do what
understand that, yes,
to do what they want on
That's
it.
fine. Okay, thank you much.
All right, then. Anybody else have anything to add to Lot 1 at this time? All right. And then I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make said motion to close the public hearing on Derek Barley, Lot 1.
Second.
John Gasky seconds it.
I would like an official declaration from the applicant.
I think I'll second it, because I don't think John can.
Just fine.
Mr. Planner,
Yeah, I
did
don't
you
think
hear,
that you
did you
can.
hear Mr. Shea's
I did.
concern?
Stolen. Yeah. Paperwork to be the worst.
Well, it doesn't have to be in writing. The spoken is fine with me, too.
He's already on there.
Right, so you have a motion and a second to close the hearing?
We do. Was it Mr. Gasky or Mr. Cullum?
Mr. Shea, Mr. Gatsky.
No,
Bill's gonna
Mr.
take-
Shea,
I didn't
Mr.
know
Cullum.
if John could second a motion that he can't vote on.
I thought you said Mr. Gatsky.
He did, but we're fine. We got a motion by Connie to close, a second by Bill.
All right.
Bill Cullum, aye.
Mr. Shea, aye.
Ellen Sodillo, aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
And Kevin Robinson says aye. And now I'm going to look for a motion to accept the withdrawal to build a duplex on Lot 1.
Well, let's get it in writing first.
Thanks, I'll need a blood sample. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
I'll
Alright.
make a motion to accept the withdrawal on the application of Derek Farley for Lot 1 on Seaford Street.
Second.
Bill Cullum, aye?
John, don't you have to say you abstain?
I didn't think I...
No, I think the chairman needs to note that the associate member will be voting on the application. So if you just say what I just said, then we're legit as can be.
Okay, so Mr. Cullum is voting as the associate member.
Correct, thank you.
Colin,
Aye.
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
and Kevin Robinson says aye.
You got a Bill Colton said aye, right?
He did.
I did say
Okay,
that,
excellent, all right, 5-0.
but Bill Cullum says aye.
All right,
All right, moving on for the application of Derek Barley, requesting a special permit pursuant to Section 5300 of the Carver zoning bylaw, located at 278 Tremont Street in Carver, Mass. Assessors Map 126-25-0R, Lot Number 2, in the Residential Agricultural Zoning District to construct a duplex.
Okay, again, Steve Katowski from Webby Engineering. So on this particular site, we hadn't moved any of the dwellings. They were pretty much, as you can see on the plan. The only thing that we were asked to do differently on this particular site was to relocate the proposed well, which we put in that little, you can see where the tree line actually kind of extends into a little V shape, just a little bit further to the east and south, Tom, if you don't mind. It's just above the outer riparian zone. So all of the activity on this particular lot is outside of any jurisdictional wetlands, riverfront area, or anything of that nature when it comes to the Conservation Commission. So again, we maintained where it was. We staked it out as was shown on this particular plan. So I'm open for any questions if the board has any questions on this particular site.
Mr. Diaz mentioned that this might be an undercar garage because of the elevation.
I think-
And I was a little bit concerned about that because I didn't see how that was going to be possible.
I don't think he meant undercar. I think what he was referring to is the possibility of having a walkout basement in the rear, which is what we have kind of shown on the plan. It doesn't specifically say a walkout, but the grading would allow them to have a walkout towards the rear. I think what he was kind of referring to was the back of the garages would be exposed. You'd see, some concrete on that side, that would all have to get filled in. But that was what we were trying to do from the first set of plans we designed to this, was to minimize some of the grading. And again, that was to, we had on the original layout, we had some grading that was going out into the riverfront area. And so to reduce that, we were able to reduce the height of the foundations in the back by, well, the grading in the back. The foundations actually stayed the same, but there's no garage unders on these. They're actually, just typical one-car garages that you drive into the front of.
Okay.
I do want to make a note too, because I know this was a concern that came up on the discussions that we've had on these lots, and that had to do with the wells. So it was suggested by the commission, by the board, that we look into maybe doing some deep rock wells, artesian wells for, to try to minimize on the draw off of the aquifer. And the reason, and I forgot to mention this the last time, but the reason that they're going with a shallow well is mostly for volume. You can understand that the head pressure that you need to withdraw water from a depth that could go over 100 feet. And then what you end up with once you get to the dwelling is going to be a lot less than if you're drawing from a shallower well. So again, we'll meet all the requirements that the state and the town of Carver has in relation to, the well setbacks and the depths and things like that. But in this particular area, because we are going to be required to have fire suppression apparatus in the dwellings, the two-family, that it would be appropriate to have a shallow well just so that we can have the volume necessary for the fire suppression.
So you would be putting in 2 wells, or?
One well, we're still going with one, but what was asked of us to look into last time we were here was to go with one deep rock well for, I have an artesian well, and I've had a couple of them, and I know that they are really tough when it comes to drawing water. You know, they can sustain a residence, but sometimes if you go and try to water your lawn or do a couple things at once, they can, you lose a lot of that, the pressure within the house. So again, when you're gonna have two residents potentially sharing one well, to require them to go with a deep rock well, I can only imagine it's gonna be a real problem for them when they are trying to, you know, one person on one side's trying to take a shower and the other person on the other side's trying to take a shower. It could be a problem for them.
And if I may, just, because I did ask the health agent about wells.
Please.
And I forwarded this to the board previously as well. So Kevin Ford, our health agent, responded about a question I had about wells. Said, Mr. Bott, in response to a question raised at the recent planning board meeting regarding the impact proposed duplexes and associated wells may have on private wells, may I offer the following. I offer the following. In my opinion, that the proposed wells and draw on the aquifer to service the water needs of the proposed duplexes will have none to negligible impact on existing private wells around the adjacent proposed project. The water that is pumped from the aquifer is, quote, non-consumptive, in that water is used for cooking, bathing, irrigation, etc., but is mostly returned to the local aquifer by reintroduction into the ground, ultimately back into the aquifer. By contrast, if wells were to be constructed for the purpose of supplying water for a development that is remote or of a significant distance away, that would be, quote, consumptive use, which would result in a possible impact on existing wells adjacent to the subject property. Kevin did note that he is not an engineer. He's worked for engineering firms for quite some time. But in his opinion, essentially, you're recycling water on the site. You're pulling it out, you're using it, it's going back into the septic system, back into the aquifer. His opinion, there's little to no effect on local water supplies if you've got a well in your yard.
Okay. Thank you for that information. Well, I'm going to open it up to any concerns that board members might have regarding Lot 2.
No, we had a lot of trouble figuring out this one too with the markings, and all the lots were the markings for all the buildings, and everything was just not where it should have been. So there were concerns there, but other than that, I have no questions.
I'm fine too.
No questions.
Bill?
No.
All right. And Mr. Gasky, do you have any questions?
No concerns, no.
All right. You may want to come forward. I'll open it up to the public if you'd like to come forward now.
Sorry. Thank you. Sorry about the protocol confusion.
Oh, no problem. You'll just have to restate your name and
Yes.
your address.
My name is David Jewett. I live at 275 Tremont Street with my wife, Laurie. We're directly across Tremont Street from this lot. My concern has to do with the regard to safety. I've reviewed all the drawings, and there aren't, I know it's not a requirement of an engineer to show it, but there isn't really anything that shows the relationship of the driveways to the street or to the adjacent properties. So I'm actually lot 6A, the 3-acre lot right there. So the only way I can explain this is I made a quick sketch, but I didn't have time to photocopy it, so I had to just show it here. And I can't put this up on a screen for everybody else, but this is one of their proposed driveways right here. And that driveway is actually going to come into the oncoming traffic coming down South Main Street directly into it. And as we live there now, we've lived there for over 5 years. And when I come out of my driveway, it's suicide if I try to take a left turn. It's absolute suicide. There are traffic accidents, police, there were motorcycle accidents, everything at this intersection. I understand that years ago, prior to us living there, this was a stop sign right here. Can I go up to that board?
Sure. Certainly.
So this is our driveway right here. So when we're exiting out of this, People come down that South Main Street right there, no lie, no exaggeration, 40 and 50 miles an hour, even though the speed limit is 20. And when they're barreling down here, all they're doing is looking to the left to see who's coming down Tremont. And as soon as they see no one's coming, they just gun it. And they go past our house, and many times we've almost been hit. There are accidents here constantly involving different cars, motorcycles, and things like that. Now, the speed limit coming from South Main Street in that region is 20. There's a posted sign up near the strip mall. It reduces to 20 miles an hour, and just past our driveway, it increases to 45 here. We've been to the DPW, we had Chief Dufilli at our house. We begged them to please, carry the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit further down, and also if they could put either a set of lights or a stop sign or something up here. And I understand this isn't the builder's concerns, but I'm just trying to raise everyone's awareness that this is the existing driveway that's directly across from us right now, and the proposed driveway is right in this area here. So they'll be driving right into that oncoming traffic. If they're taking a right turn, good luck, because they're coming at 50 miles an hour coming up from the south. So there's a lot of inherent risk here, and there's another driveway located further south in this direction that's also proposed. I believe it's lot 4. And as you go down in that area, it's an even higher speed limit. So it's 45 from here south. And the town has signs in this region down here that show that the speed reduces to 25. But Edaville put one of their signs right below it with an arrow, so it almost looks like 25 is way further ahead when they're just trying to show you that Edaville is further ahead. So people get confused and they don't realize the speed limit reduction. So I challenged the chief when he was at our house to just try and pull out of my driveway. He had a cruiser, of course, so everybody knows, but I said, just try to pull out of our driveway and come into that oncoming traffic, either a right or a left turn, between 6 and 8:30 in the morning and maybe 2 and 6 p.m. It's just absolute mayhem out there. No one slows down. And they come off that yield sign and they just hit the gas. They all want to see how fast their bikes can go, how loud their cars can sound. So I'm appealing to the planning board that hopefully, if this project goes ahead, I wish them the best of luck if it goes ahead, but to have the concerns of the public in mind and the safety of everyone that's traveling along these roadways. I'm not exaggerating when I say we have weekends where there are sirens out front 4 and 5 times in 2 days. It's just that bad. So introducing driveways into this with duplexes and people with children, school-age children or anything like that, exiting and entering into those driveways, I wish them luck.
I appreciate your concern, and thank you for sharing that. We did personally acknowledge how bad that was at the 25, I believe it was a 25-mile-an-hour sign, and I don't know that we have the jurisdiction to ask Chief Dufilli to look into maybe possibly putting something there that could make the traffic aware that they can't drive that fast.
Yeah, we also had John Woods.
You would, to the mic, Mr. Jewett.
I'm sorry. We also had John Woods, the DPW commissioner, at the same time at our home. He actually moved a couple of the signs and he changed the sign coming off South Main Street to 20, which was, a step in the right direction. We asked for a deterrent, a radar trailer, anything like that they could do. The flashing signs that we all see in some of the neighborhoods today.
Yep.
But I understand that the planning board doesn't have that direct jurisdiction. I just was hoping that there's a connection because we've already appealed and now we're going to introduce more.
Well, I'd like to think that if we were to talk to Chief Dufilli about this, that maybe he would consider the fact that there's now going to be 2, 4, 6, possibly 6 more vehicles coming in and out of these.
Yes.
Well, again, we're discussing 2, so there could possibly be 2 to 4 vehicles, I believe, right?
Right.
For 4 vehicles for each duplex. So I would really like to call upon him to see what he thinks, especially, if we're going to multiply this by 3 lots,
Right.
we could possibly be looking at 12 more cars that are coming off of that.
Exactly.
you know, again, we don't have the jurisdiction to stop somebody from building a duplex because of the speed limit, but we definitely need the support of our police chief to look into this, to assure the safety of new landowners.
Yeah, in my conversations with Chief Dufley, he said that, you know, the problems that they've had in the area with accidents is essentially right at that intersection, and most of them are people rear-ending the people in front of them. Someone stops, pauses, and looks to see that it's clear, and the person behind them thinks it's clear, and they go, but the person in front of them wasn't quite ready to go. A very comparable intersection in Kingston that for years and years and years. And you've got, you know, a numbered highway at this point, so people are moving at a faster rate of speed, and it's tough to get people to do the right thing. But he basically said that the accident incidence is essentially right here, and it is rear ends with the person behind the person who didn't go, tagging them from behind.
Thank you.
So if there's anything that the board can do for the sake of safety and these new occupants of these homes, it would be greatly appreciated. I understand we're overreaching a little bit here, but we appreciate it.
Well, no, your concern for safety is validated, and I am going to ask that, you know, Chief Dufley could speak of this again, even though Mr. Bott tried to explain to us where most of the accidents take place and what kind of accidents they are. But myself personally, I would like to see that the DPW put up a blinking 25-mile-an-hour sign. I don't know if that's something that the owners, builders of this property could work with the DPW, possibly setting something up like this. I mean, you or your brother, I believe, are going to be living there, and so you're going to be looking at the same concern. And if you're renting these duplexes out to people, I don't think you want them getting killed coming in and out of that area because of how bad the traffic is there and the danger. So
yeah, let me just say that signalization requires engineering studies from Mass DOT's extensive manual, and it's not like you just go out there and put up a sign. There has to be a traffic study, there has to be an engineering study, and it has to meet multiple warrants, as they call them in the traffic business, in order to for signalization and things like that. So it's not just a slam dunk like we go out and put up a sign. But we can certainly, you know, have a conversation with the folks at Operation and Maintenance and Serpide about a potential study for the area. But, you know, likely the result is going to be that it doesn't meet the requirements for something like that.
well, I'd like to think we could at least try.
Yep, we'll give it a shot.
All right.
Okay. Okay.
It's all, you know,
No, we
I
appreciate
wish I could say more, I wish I could do more, and I wish, you know, I could declare that we put one of those blinking yellow signs that say slow down 25 miles an hour, but you heard it from Mr. Bott that we will reach out
Right.
to Serpide. We will see if it's something that they would be able to take into consideration and look at, but we can't ourselves
No, I
promise
understand.
that. This
Yeah.
board can't, but we can note the concern.
Okay. All right.
It's very
Well, thank you.
valid.
Okay. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Drew, for your hospitality when you came to the site and I asked you to leave. You were very gracious. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Do I have anybody else from the public that'd like to come forward with anything new regarding Lot 2? All right, with that, then I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Cullen.
Bill Cullum, aye.
Do I need to, in each circumstance, with each lot, appoint Mr. Cullum as
I
associate
think,
member?
I frankly think I get the gist of it. Hopefully, everybody else will as well. But
Okay.
if you just want to make note that he's voting on these, on all four of
All
these
right.
because of an absence.
Then I will do it
Okay.
each time. So thank you, Mr. Cullen, for your aye.
Aye.
Ellen Sordillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
And Kevin Robinson says aye. I'm now going to ask for any discussion on Lot 2 amongst the board.
It should be
Do
after
you have any
motions.
concerns?
After a motion's made. Discussion should start after a motion's made.
That's what I'm asking for.
Oh, you're asking for a motion to approve special permit for Lot 2 for Derek Barley?
We're going, well, no, you're right. We're going to discussion. I'm asking
Then
for
I will make a
discussion.
motion to approve special permit for Lot 2 for Derek Barley at 278 Tremont Street.
Second?
Who was the
And at
second?
this time,
Thank you.
second was Ellen. And so now at this time, any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm not in favor of it. These are 2 3-bedrooms. You can expect somewhere between 2 and 4 cars per dwelling unit, which could be as many as 8 cars coming out of this property. Traffic safety is, of course, a serious issue at this area. I don't think it has any social, economic, or community benefits for the town. I think it will, and I don't believe it will have a positive fiscal impact on town services. I think, and it goes against the master plan, which says not to allow increased dwelling units on properties. And all of those are my concerns with this, especially traffic being high on the list, but again, there's no real benefits that I see for the town of Carver other than, no, I don't see any other than. I think it's a negative. I can't weigh it out in any other way than it's clearly not beneficial to the town.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can we just verify that the plans are for 3-bedroom units? I thought this one was a 2-bedroom.
It's on the application. It says, new construction duplex resident, each unit to have 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths.
I think the 2 bedrooms, lot 4.
All 4. Okay, my question's answered.
Okay. Any further discussion? And at this time, I'm looking for a motion to accept or,
Well, the motion's already been opened.
So there's a motion to approve,
Yeah.
and Connie spoke to his concerns about approving that.
so we're looking for an aye from.
So do we have a second for that motion to approve?
We did.
Okay, oh, yeah, I do. I asked about it, didn't I? Yeah.
Yes, and then we went to discussion.
Okay.
All right, so then,
No.
No.
Is there another place that they can start that instead of, having it come out to Tremont Street? Is there another way to do that?
They would have to reconfigure the lot, but
Yeah. Can I say a couple of things, just to
Yes, you
set
can.
the table here? So the special permit criteria is this, the special permit granting authority must make a determination that the benefits proposed use outweigh the detrimental effects to the town and the neighborhood in view of the particular characteristics of the site and of the relationship in general to that site. In addition, any criteria set forth specific in this bylaw, the determination shall include a consideration of each of the following: the social, economic, or community needs which are served by the proposal, traffic flow and safety, including parking and loading, adequacy of utilities and other public services, neighborhood character and social structures, impacts on the natural environment, and potential fiscal impact, including impact on town services, tax base, and employment. So that's the special permit criteria. A way is making this, approving this more detrimental than denying it. So you've got a highway, a numbered highway, Route 58. 6 units of traffic is not going to have any impact of any nature on Route 58.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bott, are you advocating for this?
I'm pointing out that this is an opportunity to create not one house on a lot, but 2 units on a lot.
Which goes against our master
No, it
plan?
doesn't. No, it doesn't. In a circumstance where everyone in the Commonwealth is talking about a housing crisis. Now, it's in our zoning bylaw as a special permit to allow a duplex, to put conditions into it. So if you take one house and decide we'll put 2 units, 1 building, but 2 structures in there, we're essentially doubling the yield and making twice as many potential houses. Now, we don't rent, we don't zone by ownership, but they've talked about making rental units. And there are sparsely few rental units available in the town of Carver. So what we look at is, what is the benefit? Is the benefit of an additional unit? Is the benefit of potential rental units a positive impact? And is the impact going to be on traffic and infrastructure, putting 3 more dwellings, 6 more dwelling units on a limited height? Is that a substantial detriment to the town? And that's the question that's before the board. Does doubling the yield on a lot, on a limited highway, on a numbered highway, is that more detrimental than creating housing that's needed in the community? And that's basically the question before the board.
Well, currently, the state approved additional dwelling units, which does already allow an additional dwelling unit on each property. Not only that, but the MBTA law is coming down the pike for us, and that's going to be a vast increase in density. Not to mention that your average family has 2.1 kids in it, and then the social and economic benefits are 0 because we're doubling that, and it's coming out of our tax base and our town services, plus the traffic issue. There's just no way that anywhere between 4 and 8 cars plus should be dropped into the middle of that intersection. It's just too much. I just don't see that there's any particular benefits. We're already under the gun from the state for increased residents in the town, and now the state has, for all intents and purposes, gotten rid of single-family residences. So they allow additional dwelling units as long as it meets the criteria of setbacks and out of the wetland protected areas.
You're talking about the recent legislation that expands the use of dwelling units.
Yes, and as a
accessory dwelling units.
as a homeowner, I'm honestly in favor of it.
Yeah, so an accessory dwelling unit is
As a town
1/2 the
official.
size of an existing house, limited to 900 square feet.
Yes,
Just so it's not a duplex, it's not creating
no,
more housing.
it's an
creating an additional opportunity for a
dwelling-
homeowner.
Yes, it's an additional dwelling unit that probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 90, let's say 75% to be conservative, percent of the town is eligible for at this point. And that's something that's going to provide more and more housing in this town, and it'll provide it for elderly and family members, and that's kind of what we want to do and not burden the town, in my opinion.
Well, we got your vote, and your vote was no, and we're waiting for your vote, Mr. Dillo.
I'm going to say no, too.
I say no.
And Kevin Robinson says aye. Moving on to the application of Derek Barley requesting special permit pursuant to Section 5300 of the Carver zoning bylaw, located at 278 Tremont Street in Carver, Mass. Assessors map 126-25-0-R, lot number 3 in the residential agricultural zoning district, to construct a duplex.
Okay, again, my name is Steve Katowski from Webby Engineering, and I don't believe we changed anything on this particular site where it was staked out and where it is proposed on the site plan in front of you. I think that this one here, I think, actually, I do think this one here, I did move it a little bit closer towards the street to try to get it away from the outer riparian zone. That was mentioned at one of the hearings, so I take that back. This was the one that we moved it to get the building entirely outside of the riverfront area. So other than that, that's the only thing that had changed on this particular site.
And where are you at as far as going to the historical preservation regarding the house that's there?
So Derek Volley here. Historical, I've been in touch with Savory. I got an email chain with him. Been going back and forth. I believe we are all set. There was like a communication issue where I reached out. It was end of June. He never responded. Well, he responded, didn't get back to me, and then there was some miscommunication where I emailed back. It was about 2 weeks later, and now he said that since he didn't reach back to me within, I believe, a month, there's some bylaw that says it's in the building inspector's hands.
Okay.
But I did want to clear up a couple things. These three, the application should have read they're 2 bedrooms, 1.5 bath. Lot 2 was as well. The room over the garage is not finished. It was just going to be future use. So 2, 3, and 4 are supposed to be 2 bedrooms, 1.5 bath. Lot 1 on Seepit was a 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath. Don't know if something got mixed up or didn't get written correctly, but that was supposed to read that way. Also, like you were saying about the sign, I was talking with Alan. I don't have a cost. It's kind of part of the issue with the blinking 25-mile-an-hour speed limit sign near where the 25-mile-an-hour sign is, that just entering the property, the 25-mile-an-hour sign is. So that was an idea, but I don't have a cost, and I don't know.
Well, as Mr. Bott explained to us, that goes through Serpent, and unfortunately, that would have to be, you know.
Yeah, it was just an idea he brought to my head, but I don't know who to look into, to talk to, but that was just an idea.
Yep. Scott Valley, also New Cobb Road in Plimpton, one of the owners of the property. I was at the building department today, talked to Michelle and Lily. They found all the paperwork that was already applied for the Historic Society. Historical Commissioner, I guess, left his position, but I believe that that whole thing is all squared away, and we are all set with that. That's what she told me today when I was in the office.
All right.
Okay?
We would have to note that as a condition, that we did get their feedback on that.
The meeting set up. Oh, did they say the building's under 100 years old?
No, they said that they have not gotten it in writing yet, or
yeah.
The former chair
Mr. Savory Moore, yes.
step is not part of that.
Yes,
So
right.
they have to get back to us on a confirmation.
Thank you.
The only thing I wanted to just point out, just for the benefit of the butter who had concerns at the last hearing and the last application, was in this particular site, the access is utilizing the existing curb cut for the driveway, so we're not creating any additional curb cut entrances here. It's going to be utilizing the existing one. So just wanted to let the abutter know that, where if he had questions about that, he wasn't here for the last hearing.
So you'll be using the driveway that's already
The
there?
curb cut entrance, yes,
Okay.
where it enters onto Route 58 right now, not the whole entire driveway, but you can see where the curb cut entrance, that was to minimize any impact that, you know, if we were to get the special permits, we would likely have to apply for a curb cut with Mass DOT to before getting a building permit. And in this case, they would prefer that they use existing curb cuts, and that's what we're trying to maintain and utilize, the one that was already there, rather than creating a new one in a different location.
Right, so the point is, we have somebody presently using
Utilizing
that,
that.
entering and
Correct.
exiting that.
Yeah, and as, you know, Mr. Bott had said, a lot of the times, the reason that the DOT prefers you to use existing is because when they do their traffic studies, that's what they're utilizing those locations from, and when you change that, it screws up, you know, with their, you know, their calculations into the traffic studies in those areas, so they always try to ask us to maintain existing curb
Well,
cut
as an
entrances.
engineer, do you have the opportunity to have a traffic study done there to address the impact that this has?
You could, I mean, again, it would take a while. I think it takes like 60 days, you know, and you have to get permission. You can't just, like, you know, Mr. Bott said, you can't just go out there and start, you know, tomorrow. You have to apply and get permission. And most of the time, on some of the other projects that we've worked on, the information is available. It's just a matter of going through the proper channels to the state to get that, and sometimes that takes almost as long to get the information from the DOT.
I think it's probably a process we maybe should consider. I don't know that we have the jurisdiction to ask for that, but obviously the biggest concern that we have before us tonight
Okay.
is the safety.
I would like to ask the board a question. Now,
Can you tell them who you are, Mr. Brown?
Scott Varley,
Thank you.
one of the owners of the property. So, did Erickson's Ice Cream, when they built that whole thing, added the bays, and the traffic that goes through there in the summertime, did they have to get any of this? Did they have to get a traffic study?
I don't know. I don't know that they
Just
had
a
to.
question I'm just wanted to ask. If that's something that they're gonna require us to do, I would think that a commercial application like that would have been part of their agreement.
Yeah, if I might say, that was prior to me getting here, but reading the record, I don't recall any sort of traffic study for Erickson's.
No, Mr. Barley makes a good point.
It was an existing business.
It would, and this is an existing driveway, so
True.
this is what we're looking at right now. So, do we have anyone from the public that has anything additional to add to this? Mr. Jewett?
David Jewett, 275 Tremont Street.
Laurie Jewett, 275 Tremont Street.
I understand the conversation is about the existing curb cut that's in place for this, for Lot 3. And I just wanted to mention that from my understanding from the drawings, it's adjacent to the shed that you were referring to in the Historical Commission, I believe. And that driveway is it's a dirt path that actually leads out back to a seldomly used garage. The previous owner leased the garage to, I believe the gentleman's name was Carroll, and he ran a business out there and he kept a truck in that garage, and he would drive out of that road once a day and then drive back in once a day. So it's not a frequently used driveway. In fact, I very rarely even saw him using that driveway. The one I would see more frequently is the next lot that you're going to talk about. But I just wanted to mention it is a curb cut, it is there, but it's just a dirt road that goes out back to a garage.
And my question was, with these 4 units, only one of them's going to go out onto Seepit, so does that mean The other 3 are all gonna have a road that comes out besides driveways. Is it gonna be a road also that comes out onto Tremont?
This
No,
isn't
the driveways are coming out onto Tremont.
And that's it, just the driveways?
Just the driveway.
2 driveways.
3.
3 driveways will
Well,
be coming out.
4.
No,
There'll be
Oh,
4.
how many?
3 driveways,
One
but
for
we've
each.
already, one has already been turned down.
1 for each residence.
Oh, so there'll be 4 driveways coming out?
3.
3.
Yeah, one-
There would
That's what I
be
mean, it's not
3
all-
potential driveways, but the board voted against Lot 2, so we now have Lot 3 that we're discussing, so that will be a driveway. When we get to Lot 4, we'll discuss that, that will be a driveway.
Yeah, there will be double wide driveways
Wow.
if it's approved, yep.
I really wish that someone would come down and just watch how they go by.
We
They're-
did.
they're
We-
doing like
We went out there,
45.
the concern is
Yeah.
there. But how can we stop somebody from the
Right.
opportunity of building a duplex so that
Right. We're not even
two more,
against any of it.
2 more families can come
Mm-hmm.
to a duplex, a potential of 6 families could come to the duplex. Personally, myself, I'm terribly upset about the traffic and situation.
wicked.
I wish Serpent could work with us to,
Yep.
address that, because I would like to see families in that.
Yeah.
Personally, myself, I'd like to see my family be able,
Yeah.
my children,
We-
be able to afford to live here, and
Mm-hmm.
I think this is an opportunity for somebody to do that. But, on the other hand, I don't want to put them at risk pulling in and out of these sites.
And I really think that just a stop sign instead of a yield sign from 58 on to Tremont would help a lot of it, because you have to stop. And
We've
then
had,
take off.
we've had Mr. Bott explain our situation and where we're at.
Yeah,
As a board and the
Yeah.
chairman, I don't feel that we have the jurisdiction to stop them from
right.
building what they want to build on the property that they own, but the safety is
The safety
my
is
utmost
huge.
concern.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, no,
That's
just
why
wanted-
we were here,
Just wanted to
because,
clarify what that driveway, that curb cut. Thank you.
Scott Valley again, one of the owners. I believe that Mr. Jewett is mistaken. That is not a dirt driveway. That is an asphalt driveway from the street all the way to the garage.
Just got a lot of dirt on it.
But it's asphalt.
Right. I agree.
Right.
Chris Miller, 6 Seepert Street. I just had an idea, what if they could co-join the driveways and then just have one cut, at least for the 2 units. I know they want to try and keep them separate, but if they're going to do something, maybe that'd be one way to eliminate a cut and 2 houses, 1 driveway, that's all.
Thank you for your suggestion. Mr. McNeil?
Emily McNeil, 8 Seapit Street. Just a quick, I heard you asking what year the house was from, and I believe it's from 1902.
From what year?
1902.
That is
Oh, okay.
correct.
Yeah, it's not a house either, so that, my mistake.
All right. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to ask for a motion to accept.
We're going to close the
I'm
hearing.
sorry, I need to ask to close the public hearing, or a motion to close the public hearing.
Who made said motion?
I'll second said motion.
Mr. Cole?
Bill Columbi?
Mr. Shea, aye.
Ellen Sordillo, aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
And Kevin Robinson says aye. And do the board members have any more concerns that they want to bring up before we take this to a vote?
I just have one thought. I don't know how popular it would be. But understanding that traffic's moving, coming from a faster rate down to a slower rate. And we're looking to increase density of these, of the area, putting more cars in there. One of the things that typically goes on with that is there might, and don't know if it's, if it would actually, if it's even an approvable thing, but you've got, with more people there, more foot traffic, car traffic, everything else right there, people coming into the area would probably be coming in at a little bit slower rate, knowing that there's more stuff there that they're going to have to avoid. It might take a little bit of time, but as more traffic is there, it's going to, I feel like it would cause other people to pause a little bit and slow sooner, thereby slowing the traffic down behind them. There's always going to be the yahoo that says, damn the torpedoes, I'm going full speed ahead. But just a thought. I mean, I live on a very busy street, and I live at the right after the speed limit changes going up, and I know that it's a drag race coming out of that. So they're coming by my place at breakneck speeds. But coming the other way, with the density of housing, people slow down coming up to the narrower passage, right past my house, coming into the triangle. So looking at more density around the house, around there, you've got higher density past that on Tremont with houses on that area. It could have the effect of extending the slowdown farther away from where the houses are.
I'd like to think that that's already starting to take place with the expanse of Erickson's.
I would have to agree with that thought process, but I'm on Tremont Street several times a day.
Right.
There is no slowing down. At no point in time, whether it's after this property, before, they just go right through. I see it all the time, every single day.
Yeah.
And you would think that they would pay attention, but they don't. It's pretty scary. There was a head-on accident a couple months ago, right past Seepage Street.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
Very tough
Yeah.
year for
They just
Tremont
fly.
Street.
They go through there, and it's not just one or two cars, it's pretty much every car, unless you live in the neighborhood and are familiar with it and have respect for the people that live there.
That live there, yeah.
It's awful, because it's a throughway
Right.
to get to Plymouth or from that area back to Wareham or something like that. But, it's very unfortunate because no one pays attention.
Mhm.
And they do not. Once they get to those houses that are right after Seepage Street, they just go right through.
Yep.
45 miles an hour, even the tractor-trailer trucks. So, and I know that we don't have any control over that, but obviously it's a major concern here. But not many people pay attention to it. And I doubt very much putting in the houses is going to stop it.
No,
Yeah, unfortunately.
yeah, you'd like to think, and that's why I was saying,
Yeah.
you'd like to think that they would see more and slow down sooner.
Right, yeah.
But
Is it too late for me to say anything?
We closed the public hearing. Well, at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to accept this.
Make a motion to approve the application of Derek Varley for Lot 3 on Tremont Street.
Do I have a second?
I'll second. If you
Yes.
designate me.
Yes, we'll designate you as the associate member to vote on the special permit. So we have a second now. Further discussion.
I've got much the same reasons as the last one too, and we're going from 0 cars to somewhere around 6 cars at the two bedrooms. Not to mention it's going to have environmental impacts. There's going to be, you can see the limit of clearing as well within the riparian zone. Plus you got to expect that it extends over time, but again, I don't really see any social, economic, or community, well, Mr. Bott makes a fair point where we could use some more rental houses, but socially and economically, traffic safety, the neighborhood characteristics, and the impacts on the natural environment, the fiscal impacts on town services, plus the increased density on what is clearly just edging, and parts of it are well within the protected area.
Thank you. Mary Ellen, do you have anything to add?
I do. Have you gone, Steve, have you gone in front of the Concom for this lot?
No, usually conservation wants, they want to be last. They want to
Last,
get through
okay.
all of the other boards of health
Yeah.
and planning board, things of that nature before you, because as you go through this process, as you see, there's a lot of changing things that
Right.
can take place, so. This lot, as I said earlier.
Do you mind coming to the mic?
Oh, sure.
A simple no would have been fine from your.
Yeah, sorry. No, we have not, but in this particular site, because it was recommended that we try to keep everything outside, we did accomplish that, and that's the way it was staked out on the field, too.
Right, right.
So,
Well, it was, I think Alan made a comment on the site walk that 3 and 4 would be going in front of the Conservation Commission. Unless I'm mistaken.
I know 4 does, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that when I pushed it closer towards
Okay.
the street and everything, we were able
So that
to keep
eliminated
it
that.
outside, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
because as you can see, this, the way it is drawn, it's just that one little corner that is within the, and again, I don't want to, make an argument, but that is permissible to do that if we were to go before the Conservation Commission. It's just a small, limited area.
But you're marking the limit of work at that black line all the way out to the proposed well.
Yeah, and again, we could change that and bring it up to that location, and that's what we were trying to do with this, with the changes. Again, we're trying to make it so that they had some decent yards, but if that was a concern that the planning board has for this site, then we can meet those requirements and not have to go through conservation if we we're forced not to have to go to conservation.
Right.
Further discussion?
I'm more comfortable with the 2-bedroom units. I'd rather see two-bedroom units than the 4-bedroom house that's going to go on there if we say no. So I do see a benefit to the town, and I do feel like the disruption isn't overwhelming.
Thank you. All right. We have a motion. We have a second. And asking for your vote.
Aye.
Again, this is directly across from where a lot of traffic issues are. We're adding a lot of traffic in where none existed before. The increased density and the impact to the natural environment, town services, the fiscal impacts on town services, the neighborhood characteristics, and again, there's not really any beneficial aspects to this, so I'm voting no.
Okay. Ms. Sardillo?
I'm going to vote aye.
Mary Ellen?
I'm voting no.
And Kevin Robinson says aye.
I didn't get Ellen's vote.
I agree. Can I
So-
take that back?
No, so did you vote aye or nay?
Nay.
Okay, that's fine. So I got aye, no, no. No, aye, no, no, no.
Mr. McCullough and I were ayes.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to the application of Derek Barley requesting special permit pursuant to Section 5300 of the Carver zoning bylaw located at 278 Tremont Street in Carver, Mass. Assessors map 126-25-0-R, lot number 4 in the residential agricultural zoning district to construct a duplex.
Again, Steve Katowski from Webby Engineering, and this is the one lot that I was certain we would have to go through conservation. As you can see, the riparian zone, we've got the building at 51.7 feet. We have to maintain a 50-foot setback from the street line, so there's not a whole lot of room to move it outside of the riparian zone, so this one was the one that I was referring to that would have to. But again, we are utilizing the existing curb cut in this location. It is, again, it's a smaller footprint. If you look at the size of these two duplexes, there aren't any garages associated with these. Again, we're trying to work within the, you know, the area that we have to work with, but also these will be two-bedroom units. Again, I know it's already kind of, the ship's already sailed, but I wanted to note that these curb cuts are pretty well spaced apart. This one, if it were approved from the last one, is a good 200 feet up, down south of that existing curb cut location. So potentially, I see that, you know, since the last lot wasn't approved, that there'll probably be a single-family house built on Lot 3, so that will probably utilize that same curb cut on that location. So again, on this particular site, we've got quite a distance between those two curb cuts, and we're utilizing them for this particular driveway too.
So we'll be needing, as a condition, conservation's approval of this, obviously.
So I just wanted to make one, Derek Varley here, I just wanted to make one argument with this one. Well, first off, this is the one that my brother was proposed to live at. One thing is, to me, is affordability. Single families these days are not affordable. My brother cannot afford a $700,000-800,000 single family home. This I can build for him fairly reasonably. This one has high visibility. I've pulled into these driveways multiple times, that and the one at the barn, between the 3 and 5 o'clock hours. Have I waited for a couple cars? Yes, but I have had no problems getting in and out. I've gone left, I've gone right. So really, this one is, it means something to me, so I just wanted to make an argument that it's not affordable, wanted to do it for him, so if that helps. And that's it.
Not speaking for the board, but I can say that I appreciate the fact that he would be able to live there and maintain the duplex as a rental property. And so there would be two families that would be able to be allowed to maintain this and live in this house, this duplex. So I can appreciate you wanting to do that for your brother. At this time, is there anybody from the public that has anything that we haven't heard or concerned about? Ms. McNeil?
Emily McNeil, 8 Seaport Street. This is not really a concern so much as a suggestion. Even if it was a single family home on a couple of these lots, I would just kind of suggest maybe changing the direction of the driveway so it's not directly perpendicular to the street. I think that would definitely give a better vantage point for anyone pulling out of there to be able to see further if it was like a little bit more southwest.
Let me bring the engineer to the table and see what he thinks about that. Is that something maybe to consider, reconfiguring the driveway?
No, typically no. I mean, it's always encouraged that you have a perpendicular, you know, driveway. In this case too, I don't know if maybe the abutter wasn't aware, but we do have 22 feet of width at the throat of that. Once you get to the actual intersection, you're going to have at least another almost 20 feet. So you've got 40-something feet to be able to kind of position the front of your vehicle to look left, to look right. So I don't know if the angle of the driveway, because again, you're not going to come out there shooting out like a rocket ship. You're going to come and stop and be able to navigate. So you're going to pull up to a staging area to be able to determine which way you want to go. So it's not like the angle of the driveway is going to make any difference at all. Once you get to the intersection, you have to stop, you have to look. And so I don't see any benefit to angling it or having an angle to the intersection itself.
Thank you for your explanation. Yes.
I understand, Emily McNeil, 8 Seabrook Street. I understand that you obviously have a lot more experience in this than me, and this is just kind of my own version. But I grew up on a road that was 60-mile-hour road and would pull out onto that from a stop sign. So yeah, you're going to see me kind of increasing my speed as I pull out of anywhere. But yes, obviously they're going to be stopping and looking. A lot of times when a driveway is perpendicular like that, any kind of hedge growth or bushes or anything like that is what kind of would be my concern that would block view. And when it's on just a little bit more of an angle, I think it gives more room for a visual of the road either way. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Derek Volley again. Just to clear up a couple things on this specific lot. There is, I don't know the exact number, but there is a substantial frontage on this lot. I would say you have 100 feet to the left, 100 feet to the right of that driveway, and there's no hedges, bushes. You have high visibility of this road from this driveway, and perpendicular would be your best case so you can look left and right. If you came in at an angle, you're not going to see one way. So, just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wiley. Do I have any more concerns from the public?
David Jewett, 275 Tremont Street. I know the home that's here has been fully occupied the whole time that we've lived at our home, and there's never been an issue. I don't have any issue with that. I just wanted to come up to just publicly say that between myself and my wife and Barley's, I appreciate what they're trying to do here, and I wanted to offer my services to them if they wanted to go before the town to discuss options to increase the safety for the public in that area. I'd be more than happy to give you mine and our time, because I just feel serious about this, and that you know, I want to see you be able to succeed. So I'm just offering my services. I just wanted to go on record.
Thank you, Mr. Jewett.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate that. At this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I will make a motion to close the public hearing for Derek Varley on lot number 4, Tremont Street in Carver.
I'll second that.
Mr. Paul. I'm going to designate Mr. McCollum as associate member on a special permit to vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Ellen Sodillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
And Kevin Robinson says aye. At this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to approve the application of Derek Varley, lot number 4, Tremont Street in Carver, for a special permit for a duplex.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Yeah, sorry, I think good points were made with regards to visibility coming out of this lot. I think that with regards to moving forward on a site plan and build plan regarding this, a condition to keep vegetation far enough away from the street would be key to maintaining the safe visibility and entrance and egress from the property.
Thank you, Ms. Gasky. That is a good suggestion.
We got an existing garage in back. Are we gonna limit that to residential only, no commercial? No storage of commercial, no?
Mr. Valley, if you'd like to speak on that, I know you have no intentions of running a business out of it.
That
I'm asking.
garage for lot 4 is just a small, I don't know if it's a 2 or 3 car garage. It would be only used by the residences of that.
So Mr. Shea will be asking for a condition to make sure that that's
Yeah.
where it will stay at.
That's where it will stay. We will definitely abide to that.
Did you want to add anything to that, Connie?
Yeah, my concerns are gonna be the same. It's gonna be, we're taking down one house and we're doubling the density there, and it's well within the protected out of riparian zone. There's already been a lot of impervious surfaces put in there, and we're not making any better adding double driveways and double everything. I will agree that the line of sight is much better on this property, but again, I don't feel it really fits with the... I have concerns. I think the impacts are going to be negative to the environment. I think the fiscal impacts on the town are also concerning on me. As it is, I don't have a problem with a single-family house going up where the other one goes, but again, I can't approve increased density, especially anything that goes within the protected areas of the town and adds more impervious surface to it.
Do we have any further discussion? All right. At this time, I'd like to ask a vote.
Bill Cullum, aye.
Mr. Shea says no.
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says no.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
You need a 4/5 vote, so that is a denial. All right, I'll write those up.
Well, thank you, everybody, for your time and patience.
Thank you for your time.
Have a great night.
Next order is on the application of Peter Sprague, requesting a special permit and site plan review pursuant to section 2230.c, 3100, 4341, and 5300 of the Carver zoning bylaw, located at lot number 2A, Ricketts Pond Drive in Carver, Mass., Assessors Map 32, Lot 1-2A, in the Spring Street Innovation Zoning District.
If I may, before we get started on that.
Eric, do you want to use it?
Eric, before we get started, I just wanted to make a disclosure. I filed a disclosure with the clerk report. As I'm running a campaign right now, one of my donors is involved in a legal action with the developer of the subdivision for the property. There is, I have no financial interest regarding Mr. Sprague and Lot 2A.
Thank you. All right, Eric.
What's your hearing notice? Do you have your hearing? Did we just do the hearing notice? Sorry, I'm a little out of my game
We
here,
have
apparently.
I did the hearing notice,
Okay,
and
perfect.
John shared his
All
disclosure.
right, thank you.
Oh,
Oh, still dead.
Oh,
Gotta hit the button.
And Mr. Collin will be voting in,
we don't know
in the
that.
absence of...
This is a special...
Yeah, you didn't recuse yourself, you just made the disclosure.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just made a disclosure.
Sorry.
Not a problem.
This is not a special permit.
Yes, it is.
It is a...
This is a special permit? Okay.
Yeah.
So Mr. Cullen will be voting on this.
No.
So,
He didn't recuse himself, he just
Oh,
disclosed
okay.
the
All right.
potential conflict.
my name is Eric Shoemaker. I'm the professional engineer who designed this site, and I'm with Mackenzie Engineering Group. We did the civil site layout plans and surveyed the property. I'm here with the applicant, Peter Sprague. Peter is currently the owner of the abutting Lot 2 to the site. So, going to the existing conditions plan sheet, EX1, the site's located at Lot 2B of the Ricketts Pond Business Park subdivision. This is the lot towards the end of the cul-de-sac. It's directly on the left-hand side. It's comprised of 62,754 square feet, or about 1.44 acres. It's in the Carver Spring Street Innovation Zoning District and the Water Resource Protection District. It's bordered by Ricketts Pond Drive directly to the east, Route 44 to the north, Spring Street to the south. The parcel was combined or created from an approval not required plan, which was approved and endorsed from the planning board in March of 2022. The parcel was previously comprised of an earth removal and mining operation. The soil stockpiles have been mined down to about the subgrade elevation of the lot. That's about elevation 147 to 148. The topography ranges in elevation, but it mostly slopes to the east towards Ricketts Pond Drive. We have a high point at the berm of Route 44. I believe it's about 180 at the property line, and we have a low point of about 146 at the Ricketts Pond Drive driveway. We're located in the FEMA Zone X, and what you're seeing here is the updated topography. We've done an on-the-ground field survey dating back from February 2018, again, May and August of 2022, March of 2023, and this most recent survey was in May of 2024. So we've been kind of running the topography of the grades for each lot as we develop it and updating the model accordingly. So moving on to the design, I'm going to speak to the site layout plan. This is sheet C1. As we requested on our special permit application, we're filing for warehouse in a building less than 20,000 square feet, as well as greater than 10,000 square feet in the water resource protection districts. So this sheet C1 shows the proposed building as well as the surface treatments of the lot. We have to the top of the plan the land usage tables. That's the required versus proposed dimensional constraints of your zoning bylaw for that Spring Street Innovation Zoning District. So what we're actually proposing here is a 7,440 square foot office and warehouse building. It's going to have a bituminous concrete driving aisle as well as loading area to the rear. Those driving aisles are 24 feet wide. The loading area to the rear is 36 feet for the loading area, and then we have a 24-foot wide aisle there as well to get any sort of vehicles navigating the back of the site around the property. We have over here to the right the parking calculations. This is the same exact building footprint as Mr. Sprague's adjacent lot 2. He has 2 buildings next door. He's really taking one building and putting it over here at 2B, so we anticipate 25% office and the rest being warehouse. So doing that calculation, we require 9 parking spaces and we provide 15. Based on the demand of Lot 2, Peter wanted a couple additional spaces to adjacent to the side of the building here. So we have 11 out front, similar to what's been approved and shown on other lots in the subdivision, and we have 4 here to the side for his anticipated demand. All bituminous concrete parking areas will have a foot of Cape Cod berm to contain stormwater, and there is a retaining wall. I'm going to get into a little bit the grading and drainage plan along the berm here. Before I move on, I just want to mention we have a 5-foot wide cement concrete sidewalk to the front of the building here. There's also a bicycle rack to the north of the sidewalk here, and we have 1 handicap accessible parking space with a ramp and the van accessible aisle. I'm going to get into the landscaping and then we'll speak to that. But moving on to the grading and drainage plan here, our goal was to design a drainage system that complied with all of the local and state stormwater management regulations, as well as attenuates the 2, 10, 25, and 100-year storm events. To do this, we placed a series of catch basins and drainage manholes through the site. We graded it to a low point at the lot, the property line with lot 2. As you can see by the natural topography, the grades want to flow in that southerly direction. So we have 2 catch basins here. We pipe it to a manhole and we send that to infiltration basin 2B, which handles the stormwater for this subdivision. We also tie in the roofs with a TY connection to this drain pipe. So this catch basin flows up here to the manhole, it accepts the roof runoff, and then we go to infiltration basin 2B. This isn't just a running tally of the subdivision. We submitted the definitive subdivision in 2019 and did the original stormwater calculations associated with that. To date, it is an overall reduction in impervious surface of the subdivision as a whole. So because of that, the 100-year storm event in Basin 1P, which is adjacent to Lot 3 on the other side of the street, that decreases in elevation from 138.45 to 138.19. The flooding elevation in this Basin 1P increases by about an inch just due to the distribution of stormwater, but that basin is still well compliant with the stormwater management regulations, and we have over a foot of freeboard from the 100-year storm to the actual top of berm. So I'll move on to the utility plan next. Similar utilities to Lot 2, we have a transformer at the property line here, which will feed the underground electric to the building. We have a subsurface 1,000-gallon propane tank to the north of the parking area. Subsurface. It's going to have a couple bollards to delineate that no vehicle should be driving in that area, with a gas service to the building. We have a potable well up here to the western side of the property that will include a underground water service to be sized by the plumbing engineer. That also has, similar to other projects in the subdivision, a 12-foot wide wood chip maintenance path up to it. And you'll see the septic and drainage buffers associated with that well. Down here to the directly east of the building, we anticipate the septic system, and we provide the associated setbacks with that, and that will be designed to local as Board of Health regulations as well as Title V regulations with the state. I'm going to touch upon the landscape plan next, that's sheet LA1. So this landscape plan was submitted using pollinator species provided by UMass. It's similar to the other designs in the subdivision, similar tree species. We have side yard buffers consisting of white pine trees, red cedar trees, as well as pussy willow and endless summer hydrangea shrubs. The front buffer consists of the same type of shrubbery, as well as pin oak trees spaced 35 feet apart. Those were originally included in the subdivision from the rules and regulations. So in addition to those pin oak street trees, we're going to have red cedar and white pines as well in the front of the property, and a landscape buffer here undisturbed as well from the street. The interior parking lot landscape areas is going to include proposed eastern redbud trees. There's 3 of them set in these landscape islands directly adjacent to the parking lot. In addition to that, we have smooth rose bushes up and down the side of the building. And you'll notice on sheet G1, the legend, abbreviation, and general notes, I submitted a few waiver requests similar to the other projects at the subdivision. So with this, we asked for a waiver on the perimeter parking lot landscaping, and I'm going to explain that. We have 15 parking spaces here, which means we need a 15-foot setback on at least 3 sides of the parking area. We provide 15 feet all the way up the southern property line. We have excess of 15 feet to the rear here, with the shortest portion being 29.2 feet to the edge of the retaining wall. And then this side here is where we're requesting the relief, this northern side. At the driveway here at the street, we go down to 7, just based on the lot geometry. But I believe it's 6 feet into the lot, we do have that 15 feet. And we even get as far away as 94 feet here to the side property line to the northern, as you get further north into the lot. So this area will be remain in its landscape state. It's going to be loamed and seeded prior to the retaining wall. So thought I'd provide some more information on that. I believe the other waiver we request is for more than 8 parking spaces in front of the principal building. If you include, so the way I interpret this, and correct me if I'm wrong, is I interpret in front of the principal building as being in this front yard setback line. So we have 11 and then 12 here, but we believe this layout is the safest as far as pedestrian access to the building. We want to separate the parking area from the loading anticipated with the site. So that's why we laid it out this way. So with that, we can answer any initial questions the board members may have.
I'll open it up to the board members.
Are you planning on parking trucks here?
No, there's no anticipated parking of trucks.
Excuse me. This is going to be limited to the 30-foot box that you mentioned in your application?
Yeah, correct. We've been using the 30-foot box truck as a design vehicle.
So your parking lot is only on the front and side of the building. I noticed, and we've gone over this and over this, over and over for every lot. There's not sufficient frontage out front. What where's, you can only guarantee your property. We don't know what's gonna happen on the street side, it doesn't belong to you. It runs from, what, 2.9 feet to 6 feet out front? It's supposed to be 15 feet. I've been more than willing to work on you on all the other ones, but it seems like this problem just keeps coming back. It has to be more robust, and it shouldn't be visible from the street. Whether it hasn't been designated a private street yet, our engineer's been after us for every project that's come ahead of us. I'm quite fine with the rest of the landscaping, including around the building and everything, but you're asking us to increase the number of parking spaces yet again to a number that is over what we are generally allowed to do, from 8 to 11, but yet the same issue with screening in the front comes up again. And I need to see something bigger than a third or a fifth of what's required. You don't own the property out front, so there's no guarantee that any of that's going to be maintained, kept, plowed over, paved at some point in the future. So, and that's my biggest issue. I don't have a whole lot of issues with everything. I think most everything else has been covered quite well. I'd like to hear from Andy a little bit, but again, the screening out front is lacking.
Can I respond?
We or Peter.
Oh, I'm sorry, Peter Sprague.
In the microphone.
My name's Peter Sprague. I own the lot and I own the adjoining lot. So the grass area out front is a mirror image that what's out in front of mine. and it's already paved up to it with the mailbox and all the, the growth there. So this is going to be the exact same mirror image that runs from all the way out to Spring Street, all the way up. Where the driveway on the right, so first of all, on that island out front, it isn't a matter of someone's gonna build change, it's already paved to it, the first set of pavements done, and it's the exact mirror image running right up, which is consistent. And if I had a picture of the lot next to it, just how nice it looks, all continuous coming up. On the far right, the driveway, that lot adjacent is a hill. And it's
Again, I don't have a problem with either side or the back. I think they're fantastic. I understand that.
okay, I was just explaining that on the right side is all landscaped and not buildable.
Right, my issues with the front screening, it needs to be beefier. I can see that your trees are just squeezed in here specifically on what's on your property. And you're asking us to increase the amount of parking. We're allowed to give 8, you're asking for 11. We've allowed increased parking out there before. Also, you're gonna have to ask for a waiver for reduced screening out front, because your parking area only consists of 2 sides of the building. And sure, you're, as far as I'm concerned, you're meeting it on the north side of the building, but the east side of the building, no matter what we do, and generally we do come to some sort of agreement on this,
The east side.
It wouldn't meet 15 feet.
Well, the east side, it's the mirror image of what was allowed when I built the first one, so now it's 30-plus feet of all grass
This
and
is a different
shrubberies.
lot.
But between the 2 lots, it's not 15 feet,
It's
it's
something we've
30-plus.
gone over and over for everything here. It has to be appropriately screened. You're asking for it, parking out front, which, we have allowed it in the past, but the screening isn't, it needs to be better. And I appreciate that you're using a lot of white pine and, did I see rhododendron and cedar in here, which do good as far as blocking it, the site of it for the year. But 3 feet from 15 feet, so there's not even a waiver you're requesting in regards to this, and that has to be included also.
What's the total grass out there now?
From what section would that
From the
waiver be?
eastern section, 3 sides of your parking area, and you only have 2 parking areas on the north and east side of this building. You're telling us that you're not parking trucks out back, and on the left side of the south side of the building, that's a roadway, there's no parking there. Not only that, but it has to be screened from the street, and you're asking for parking in front of the building, so it should be appropriately screened. If you want me to give you the numbers, I've given you to them before. I'll be happy to give them to you again next meeting, but I've gone over it and over it. It's part of the requirements, and you're asking us to go over the 8 limit again, and you haven't made any effort whatsoever. We've had this conversation for everyone that's come in front of us. We've approved everyone in front of us, but it seems like we're fighting back and forth over this little bit that happens every time, and that shouldn't be the case. I thought we had a good feel for each other for the last couple things. You know what we're looking for, and then this comes back with a 3-foot.
Yeah, we're trying to avoid, the further you push this lot back, the bigger this retaining wall gets. We're trying to avoid having a 30, 35-foot wide retaining wall to gain another couple feet of landscaping in front.
Isn't the total out front about 6-7 feet wide, including everything that's there? From what the developer left and what I'll be having,
Yeah,
which looks very nice out in front of my other building. I mean, on the plan, it may look like 3 feet, but it's from me to you, and it's all grass and looks very nice.
I remember I sat on the board at that time, and we allowed the double buildings on the lot next door, if I'm not
That's my
mistaken,
lot,
too.
yeah.
And we allowed front parking in front of the building also.
It's the same mirror image, it's
we
gonna be
thought-
the exact building slid over, and it's,
And there were multiple discussions over side screening and parking lot screening on that property too. We've had it on all these property. I thought we had a better feel for each other, and I didn't think that we would have to be discussing this. I mean, I could live with half. I mean, what's 7.5 feet to 15, but I'm looking at 6 to 3. Is this gonna be guaranteed by the subdivision to be kept and maintained as a unpaved lot that's under your ability to maintain the
I'm maintaining it.
vegetation?
I actually did the builder's land that was there. I asked for permission and I finished the whole thing and
Do
did
we
it
have something
myself.
in writing that you are in charge of that can't be taken out, paved over, a sidewalk put in, whatever the case may be?
Yeah, I finished it all off. He allowed me to do it.
Well, if you
'Cause I
could
wanted to
provide
look
that
nice.
to the board, that would be great.
Sure.
And it'd go a long way. But again, we're going from 15 feet to 3 feet. That's exceptional. We're going from 8 to 11. And seems to be, I understand you guys want to maximize your potential, but we're here to follow the bylaws. That's the will of the people. It's why we were elected. And if it's not brought up, it should be brought up. But have we heard anything back from Andy yet?
I expect to have a memo from Andy before the next meeting.
All right, thank you.
And just for the record, there's no rhododendrons on this landscape plan.
There's what?
There are no rhododendrons on this landscape plan.
Okay. I'm sorry, you're right, hydrangeas, yep.
We don't have anybody in the public to come forward, do we? So, that being said, then I'm going to ask to continue this so
Well,
that
do we have
we
any
can
other
hear
comments
from,
board members? We want to schedule a site visit as well, likely.
we should, but shouldn't we close the public hearing?
Well, we're just open the public hearing. We're going to have the public hearing open for a few nights as we
Okay.
work through this.
All right, then we'll make arrangements to have a site walk. And when will our next meeting be, the 28th?
Next meeting is
27th.
August 27th.
August 27th, all right. And do you think we'll have Andy here for that?
I anticipate we'll have the memo
Okay,
by then. I did ask him if he could attend the September meetings.
all right. All right then.
So site walk wise, let's
We have
talk
to
about a
get-
date and let's talk about some staking. So
I'm available on the 26th,
The 26th?
Or
You're
the-
you're only available for one day?
or the morning of the 27th.
How many other members can make it on the 26th or the 27th?
What days of the week are those?
Monday and Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday.
Monday is the 26th and Tuesday is the 27th, the day of our next
27th, that will be the day of the meeting.
I'm available either one of those days.
I'd prefer not to try to jam it into the same day that we have a meeting. Only because of my schedule. I don't know if we'll have enough time.
All right, so how's 8/26 work for folks?
On the 26th at 5 o'clock,
I can do that.
What day of the week is that again?
Monday.
it's gonna be on
I'll be
Monday.
working.
All right. So the other day would be Tuesday. Are you more likely to be able to make it on a Monday or a Tuesday?
I could make it on a Monday at 5:30, or I could try to do it on Tuesday.
All right, so it kind of leaning towards Tuesday.
So
Because
are we talking about a Tuesday morning or Tuesday
Tuesday,
prior to the
uh,
planning board meeting?
Tuesday prior to the planning board meeting,
Okay.
it looks like. Right, Ellen, you'd be available? Mary Ellen, 5:30? 5:30 work for you? John?
Do my best.
It's hard to forget stuff on a site visit a half an hour before the meeting, so.
Yep.
Even I could remember stuff that long. All right, so we're looking at 8/26, 5:30 PM? Is that the consensus?
No, I think at 8:27.
I mean, 8/27, excuse me. Thank
We
you.
do 8:27.
8/27.
All right.
You need proposed building corners and limits of pavement similar to the other lots.
Yeah, I would think center line of the driveways.
we're doing the driveways, the building, and the limit of the pavement? Yep, okay, great. I don't think you have to go out of the way for the trash dumpster.
All right then, so I'm going to make a motion to continue this to the 27th.
I'll make a motion to continue the application of Peter Sprague, requesting a special permit and site plan review for Lot 2A, Ricketts Pond Drive in Carver, until August 27th, 7 PM, Carver Town Hall, Room 1.
Can I get a second?
Chairman.
Yes.
It's more of a housekeeping issue, just 2B.
2B?
Said 2A, it's 2B.
Because that's with the public.
Yeah, so
Hearing, so-
I've looked at that. The assessors have it labeled as one thing, and your plan has it labeled as another thing, but we know which thing it is.
So 2B or?
2B or not to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2A is the assessors, and 2B is just what we've been calling it since we drew the A&R.
Yep.
And the address changed when we were moving into the other building, that was fine.
And the tax bill is 2B.
All right, so I had a motion and a second. Did I have a second on that?
I seconded the motion.
Mary Ellen seconded it, okay. John?
John Gasky says aye.
Oh, Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sodillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
And Kevin Robinson says aye.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Are there any notes by any of the members?
I do.
Yes.
And I apologize, I've had a letter written for about a month now, but I didn't think we were going to finish Tremont Street today. I'm going to go ahead and resign from the board, effective tonight, so this will be my last meeting. And I will send that letter along to you and Mr. Bott tomorrow.
Okay.
It seems like we just got you, Bill.
It's been about a year.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe October, maybe 10 months.
Too short.
Wow.
It's been fun, and I appreciate everything that you've all done to educate me. But I think it's best I focus my efforts in another area of community service.
Yeah, I think I can speak for the whole board when I say thank you for your service, and we really appreciate it.
I'll be around.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's a shame. We'll surely miss you.
It'll give me time to work on my beard.
Well, then I'll really want you back. All right, any other notes? Any other members? Well then, Mr. Planner, what do you got for us?
So, as has been alluded to a couple times during the meeting, the legislature passed new legislation regarding housing ADUs. I'll be attending a seminar to learn more about the impacts of that. Gotten the legislation, shared it with the building commissioner, and so on the 27th, I'll be at a seminar, a Zoom seminar, learning more about the impacts of the changes in the law, particularly as it pertains to accessory dwelling units. But there's a number of things in the legislation.
So, am I allowed to ask, earlier tonight there would be an opportunity for that to be an accessory dwelling unit, given the new legislation?
Well, folks have to apply for whatever it is, and we'll likely be looking at amending our zoning bylaw to comply with changes to the state law.
Okay.
So we'll likely come to town meeting in the spring with some changes to the zoning bylaw in particular. But
Okay.
so there's been a lot of discussion about it, lots of folks on the various forums that I'm involved in online to talk about that.
So maybe for the public, what exactly is an accessory dwelling unit?
So an accessory dwelling unit is basically an in-law suite, your apartment for grandma, for the kids. The requirements under the state law is that the maximum size for an accessory dwelling unit can only be 50% of the size of a house, with a maximum size of 900 square feet. So under the new law, someone could build a house, they could build an accessory dwelling unit. That accessory dwelling unit would be 900 square feet as a maximum size.
Maximum size 900
Yeah,
square
maximum
feet?
size. And no limitations on
So it
people,
wouldn't be a
age.
special permit?
Nope.
Okay.
That can be determined exactly how to go about that, but no special permits for that.
Okay. All right. Any other notes?
The other thing is, if my friend Skip is watching from Portland, Oregon, hi Skip. He's not very mobile right now, so I told him some more exciting things he could do, like watch a meeting across the country with his friend on TV. I hope he's not.
And you don't even have a bow tie?
No,
You know, you could have done that for Skip.
just chilling, it's summer.
All right. All right, any further discussion? And I guess we'll go over the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 11th, 2024.
I'll second that.
All right, let's go to the minutes of June 25th.
I'll make a motion.
What? Motion's been made and seconded for June 11th.
That's right, oh, we need, John.
Aye.
My only, it says planning member notes dash chairman Cornelius Shea under, like the,
I thought we addressed that before, didn't we?
right? I don't know if it's, I would, maybe, I don't think I was chairman then, so I, but other than that, it's, I'm fine with it, just that edit.
Where do you
Bill,
see-
actually, if you don't mind me asking, you volunteered to be on the Serpent Commission, so you're resigning from the associate member, but are you remaining on the Serpent Commission? That is in the notes.
I haven't considered that.
Okay,
If you give me a day or two, I'll get back to you.
all right, so should we probably table that then?
Well, he's certainly resigning from the board.
I
Yeah.
have been serving as the, I have been serving as your representative.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying, so
But if that stops-
I'm asking,
Yeah, well-
that doesn't mean that you're stopping because you're resigning from the board as an associate member,
From what
does
I
it?
understand, it wouldn't necessarily mean that, but like I said, it hadn't even occurred to me to consider that, so if you
Yeah.
wouldn't give me a day or two on that,
We can ask the planner to look into that? or
Yeah,
not?
well, it's up to Bill. So if we have to appoint someone as an associate member, we'll know at the next meeting. As a Serpent representative, we'll know at the next meeting, and we'll cross that bridge at the next meeting.
And Connie, where is it?
It's page 3A, first sentence, I mean, I might be reading too much into it.
The planning board member notes, chairman, semicolon.
Yeah, I think you
Is
might be
that
reading too much
specifying
into
that
it.
Connie is the chairman, or is that
Because
just?
in the next set of minutes, it says, I'm accepting motions, so, just remove the word chairman, I think, and probably just clear
Okay.
everything up.
We good on that?
Which minutes are those?
Removing chairman, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4.
June
Right.
11th.
6/11?
Page 3, section A. It might be, yes, you're right, John. Probably chairman notes, board member note. Okay, so I am reading too much into it.
Okay,
So I don't think it's, let's not waste our,
Yeah, so
anybody's
I'm looking
time.
for an aye from you then.
So aye.
Ellen?
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Mary Lou Williams says aye.
And Kevin Robinson says aye.
And I'll make a motion to approve of the June 25th, 2024 planning board minutes. In this case, under D, it should read Kevin Robinson. I'm gonna say it's page 7 or the last page.
Oh, Cornelius, to accept the
And then-
motion to approve the minutes.
It says it twice, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it goes on to say that you made the motion.
Right, and the next paragraph says the same thing. Cornelius Shea will accept the motion, and I made the motion, so.
Who are you?
I'm a man of many faces, apparently.
So with that correction, Ken, you made a motion. Did I get a second? All right, John?
With that
correction, yes.
I was absent for that one, so.
I would say aye.
And
Ellen?
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Mary Ellen?
Mary Lou Williams says aye.
And Kevin Robinson says aye.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of July 16th, 2024.
I will second that.
And I didn't see anything in there that caught me.
All right, John?
Aye.
Aye.
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Mary Lou Williams says aye.
And Kevin Robinson says aye. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So motion.
Second. Aye.
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 Kevin Robinson says aye.
Thank you, John.